interesting. It's affecting some, or could potentially affect. We're going to find out if it affects any PulseChain products or launches or schedules and stuff like that because of infrastructure or otherwise. But yeah, Jesse, what's with the OKX delisting? Has it affected the PulseChain products and launches and timeframes like that?
It's affected the ease and possibly the security of coming into PulseChain. Of course, we still have bridge.pulsechain.com, the official bridge that will make you some wrap tokens. But as far as alternatives, what if you wanted to come from Avalanche, or you wanted to come from Phantom, or you had Bitcoin or something and you wanted to come into PulseChain? Well, all of those services would get routed through OKX and through some Change Now integration with OKX, and then back into our platform, Portal X. That all became possible, where you could be anywhere in all of crypto, and you could easily come straight into PulseChain from wherever you are. But OKX decided, based on their delisting criteria, that the legal challenges with Richard at this time mean that they have to delist. They have to delist for a period, at least for a period of time, right? So, effective on like the 1st of next month or something, Pulse will no longer be available on OKX. Now, when that news came out, the liquidity providers, the community of liquidity providers, started pulling liquidity. So the liquidity is really, really thin over there and super volatile. If you can still use it between now and the end of the month, but if you were to try and come into PulseChain via something like Change Now, you're going to pay possibly double or triple what you would, just coming through the normal bridge. Does that put a damper? Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, there's an argument to be made that we don't need central exchanges, that all we need is this bridge. Well, there's two sides to every coin, right? Because without a means to be able to swap Bitcoin for Pulse, or ETH directly for Pulse, or other tokens directly for Pulse, what we're left with is Richard's bridge, which produces wrap tokens, and anything that comes through that bridge becomes a wrapped thing. And if anything ever happened with that bridge, you have an entire blockchain full of assets that now essentially get screwed, because none of those things become redeemable if people went the other direction. So you do want both. You want that kind of bridge like Richard has, but you also want direct trading like exchanges have. And we now only have one option. Now, there are some other community efforts to build bridges. Of course, Coast has their stablecoin system, which will be launching very soon. That's great. There's some other newer type bridges like Pulse LN, and there's like a privacy bridge out there. Some of these things are either so new, they're untested, they haven't proven themselves quite yet, or they haven't even verified their code. Nobody knows what it says. It could be just one guy with all the keys. There's a number of things you need to be aware of if you're going to use some of these smaller, lesser known bridging platforms. So just be careful out there until another exchange or giant bridging partner picks up Pulse. What the best option is probably just come through Richard's bridge.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was just thinking about delisting. Okay, what was it? There wasn't a ton of volume going through. All right, but part of me is of course, DEX is I barely use centralized service of any sort. Everything I use, I try my best, unless I have to use. If you on-ramp to do something, is no KYC, and it's just the trustless, the peer-to-peer cash system and the DeFi system that has been built around us and that we're building. So when I first heard about the delisting, I thought, okay, well, that's not great, but whatever. But I didn't even think about the implications for products that are using them for different types of conversions or services like that. Is it, and just to clarify for people too, like how, we still bridge coins back and forth using the official PulseChain, bridge.pulsechain.com and stuff, but using other services or things that need to change coins or do bridging type things, are we just waiting for another solution, a decentralized solution, or another centralized partner? Like what is, can you talk about any of the plans of Power City going forward to figure this out?
Yeah, so there's a number of options in the works. Okay. So if you look at something like Rubik, who we work very closely with, they have their front end, we have our front end. It all runs the same code. The engineers over there, when a bridging solution is found, they have to integrate it into Rubik, and they have to create all these different routes to different tokens and stuff, start linking all these smart contracts. And that could take a week, that could take 2 weeks. However, there's so many blockchains out there. We're kind of in our own little bubble here, right? All we see is PulseChain. But there's probably 3 other blockchains that launched this week that y'all have never even heard of. Okay. Blockchains launch all the time, and there's a waiting list, and they, do integrations across all sorts of different blockchains constantly. So, it's never hey, let's get on the phone, let's get the devs straight at the computer and make this happen overnight. It never works that way. It's always a series of meetings, looking back and forth, reviewing the code with their dev team, our dev team, looking for bugs, reading the audit, and then having the engineers figure out how to make it happen, right? And it's never quick.
2 more weeks. You've heard it here first.